He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, everybody. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811. 877-381-3811. Well, Christie's out. That's good. As you folks know, I've been pushing this now for several days. He will not be heading the transition team. They bumped him over to vice chairman, whatever that means. And, of course, Mike Pence, a conservative, the vice president-elect, will head the transition team. This is excellent news. Absolutely excellent news. Christie was bringing in Bushies. He was bringing in Romney people. He was bringing in the Chamber of Commerce people. And what these people will do is basically subvert the effort. We need conservatives. That's what we need. Conservatives. I mean, I think Mike Flynn, General Mike Flynn, would be an outstanding Secretary of Defense. John Bolton would be an outstanding Secretary of State. Jeff Sessions, an outstanding Attorney General. They can give Christie what? Is there still a Postmaster General? I don't know. But before we get into all this, it's Veterans Day. And people like to say, let's honor the vets, and they do it for about 13 seconds. We honor our military every day on this program when I end the program. It's not just a bumper sticker for me. And we're going to honor them again on Veterans Day, our veterans and our military fellow citizens out there. And a salute, a special salute from me to my father. You ready to go, Mr. Producer? The Marines!
Mark Levin.
Perfect.
Mark Levin.
I'm ready.
Folks, I want to give you a little context for what I'm about to say as the Democrats begin to push Keith Ellison to head the Democrat National Committee, a radical leftist, a man who was supported by and supports Farrakhan, a man with links to CARE, supported the Muslim Brotherhood. This is where they're going. Now, that will be their demise, their further demise. I want to point out a few things about the election we just had. Hillary Clinton got 60,467,000 votes. Donald Trump got 60,072,000 votes. She had 400,000 more votes than he did. The reason for this is Trump won the Electoral College, but he won big states, but by small margins. Florida, Ohio, so forth. Whereas they rack up the numbers, Hillary does, in places like California, New York, Illinois, and so forth. There's nothing illegitimate about this process. It's going exactly as the framers intended. You're elected by the Electoral College, just the way her husband was. But this is my concern, and it's a concern for the Democrats, too. So let's just round it off. Trump got around 60 million votes. Trump got less votes in 2016 than Mitt Romney got. Mitt Romney got almost 61 million votes. In 2008, McCain got almost 60 million votes. Stick with me, there's a point here. 2004, George W. Bush got 62 million votes. For the last 12 years, 4 presidential election cycles, the Republicans have gotten about 60 million votes, give or take. And that's it. They've been stuck. The Democrats She got 60 million votes, give or take, Hillary Clinton. In 2012, Barack Obama got almost 66 million votes. 2008, he got 69,500,000 votes. And in 2004, they got 59 million votes. So what happened? Put all the static and all the nonsense aside. There is no movement, ladies and gentlemen. Trump picked up more Democrats, but he lost more Republicans. The point is, he got about the same number of votes as every president running as Republican the last 3 times. On the other hand, the Democrats have a problem. Their numbers are shrinking. Shrinking. That is, they're not turning out. They got almost 10 million less votes this time with Hillary Clinton than they got with Barack Obama in 2008. So Republicans are kind of treading water, and the Democrats have sunk. Just below the Republican level, actually just above the Republican level, Hillary Clinton still won the popular vote. Neither party is in great shape at the federal level. Neither party. Now, you've turned out and done everything you could. 2010, 2012, 2014, 2016, you've delivered the Republicans the House of Representatives. 2014, you delivered the Republicans the United States Senate. 2016, you delivered the Republicans the House of Representatives, the United States Senate, and the President of the United States. And people are mostly voting against things rather than for things. The public has had enough. Republicans and conservatives have had enough of the radical leftism in this country, whether it's Obamacare, open borders, or whatever it is. And the Democrats have had about enough of their own party. As the numbers sink, they're still above Republican numbers on the popular level, but their numbers are cratering. At the local and state level, the Republicans are hitting it out of the park because we believe in federalism. I don't know any other time in modern history where we control the vast majority of governorships, a huge number of state legislatures, even in blue states. You've spoken, not just this year, not just 2 years ago, not just 4 years ago, but 6 years ago. And every election cycle, you're saying the same thing. We've had enough of this centralized crap. We want to be left alone. We want our Constitution back, build up our military, secure our border, and get out of our faces. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin, the most popular conservative author in America. Call in to the Mark Levin Show now at 877-381-3811.
The media are lying to you. The reason why Chris Christie is not chairman, he's not chairman of the transition committee anymore, has nothing to do with Bridgegate or anything of the sort. That Bridgegate issue has been around for a little bit. The reason is because he was undermining Trump and conservatives. He was bringing in all these has-beens, these operatives, these lobbyists, and so forth and so on. Keep in mind, Christie was the darling of the Bush people for a long time, wasn't he? And Christie was appointed United States Attorney by Bush. And by the way, I don't hate the Bushes. Some people hate them. I don't hate them at all. I kind of like them. But that's beside the point. Talking about policy and principles and issues, not whether I like them or not. He was even bringing in the Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber of Commerce is a notorious organization, ladies and gentlemen. They're trying to get as many of the people they support into these sub-cabinet positions as possible. Deputy Secretary, Assistant Secretary, Deputy Attorney General, Assistant Attorney General. I told you yesterday, and these other guys don't get it, but I served in the Reagan administration. This is the key time. the next 2 to 3 months, where crucial personnel decisions are made. I heard somebody talk about Kelly Ayotte for Secretary of Defense. This amazes me. It amazes me. Her last comments in the presidential race. And on top of that, I thought Trump disagreed with McCain and Kelly Ayotte and Lindsey Graham. He's got a man there who served as a general, a man that has been all over TV, all over the place supporting him, a man who could be supported by conservatives and other Republicans alike, and this General Mike Flynn, who's absolutely outstanding. Outstanding. Jeff Sessions, keep Jeff Sessions away from the economy and keep Jeff Sessions away from foreign policy. He's no expert in those areas. I know Jeff Sessions. I know his guy Miller's been with Trump and writing a lot of his policy positions and papers, populism, nationalism, whatever-ism. But I do know this, having worked with Jeff Sessions when he was United States Attorney in Alabama, when I was Chief of Staff to Attorney General Meese, he would be an incredibly good Attorney General of the United States. Better than Rudy. Better than Rudy. He's got a better temperament than Rudy. Plus, he never supported sanctuary cities as Rudy did. Again, I have nothing against Rudy. Nothing personal in the least. Again, I'm talking about the country. What would be best for the country? Who could help Trump do what Trump needs to do? Who would be best at it? I also think Dr. Carson would be superb as Secretary of Education. Ben Carson. Be outstanding as Secretary of Education. I heard some knucklehead on Fox said he ought to be Surgeon General of the United States. They don't do anything. They walk around with pretend suits and say, don't smoke cigarettes. Why would you waste him there? Carson should be Secretary of Education. There may be other great people out there. And there are. So, let's talk about the Democrats for a moment. Their numbers are cratering. The Republican popular numbers are not moving, and they haven't moved since the 2004 election. That's problematic. They've switched out a lot of Republican voters and have gotten a lot of Democrat voters, but the overall gross number has not altered, really, by 1 million votes, give or take. The problem for the Democrats, they're literally losing votes. They're losing voters, one election to the next. As I said, Obama 2008 to Hillary Clinton this week, almost 10 million less votes. And Chuck Schumer, as the minority leader in the Senate, Chuck Schumer is a snake. There should be no deals with Chuck Schumer. He should be rolled over. He should be plowed under. He exists for the purpose of destroying the Republic, and he exists for the purpose of attacking Trump and Republicans and conservatives. Listen to this from Red State. Schumer's big F.U. to Trump by, who is it? Dan Spencer. In a blatant F.U. slap in the face to President-elect Trump, soon-to-be Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer has thrown his considerable support behind Minnesota Representative Keith Ellison to be the next head of the Democrat National Committee. Schumer spoke with Ellison Thursday afternoon and supports him for chair. Ellison is co-chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, will officially throw his hat in the ring this coming Monday. CNN reports that Ellison, a Muslim American, is also backed by former presidential candidate Bernie Sanders, a registered independent who caucuses with Democrats and is an admitted socialist. Worse, Ellison is a Muslim Brotherhood supporter. Worse, Ellison is a CARE supporter. He is a radical. He is a radical leftist with sympathies for radical Muslim organizations. And let me be abundantly clear. It has nothing with the fact that he's a Muslim. It has everything to do with the fact that he is a radical. Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren is also backing Ellison. Schumer and company's support for Ellison becoming head of the DNC amounts to a declaration of war, sending a loud and clear message. They will fight Trump's change agenda with every tool at their disposal. It takes another shot at Trump's proposed temporary ban on Muslims entering the United States. I think he already surrendered that. Worse, it also amounts to still more Democrat pandering and so forth and so on. So, the message Schumer got out of this election is the Democrat Party is not radical enough. The Democrat Party is not radical enough. My God, do we have an opportunity here to expand the map, as they say, to attract more and more voters, regardless of party. The vast majority of Americans, not the miscreants and malcontents in the street, not the punks and the pukes, the vast majority of regular Americans. Yes, regular, unlike you irregulars in the streets trying to overturn an election. Notice how violent the left is? Mr. Producer, has there ever been a violent march of Republicans? What would we wear? We don't even know what to do. Should we wear a suit? Do I have to wear a tie? Loafers, tie shoes, boots? What should we do? Moccasins? So we wouldn't even know how to do it. And yet we're the ones who defend the Second Amendment, and we're not violent as a group. They're violent. Seriously, can anybody recall, any of you out there, Republicans marching en masse, breaking store windows, burning things, marching with placards with the F word on it and so forth and so on? No. The Tea Party, when the Tea Party march, was absolutely nonviolent in the tradition of Martin Luther King. It's the irony, isn't it? Anyway, back to Schumer. Schumer's a scuzzball. That's exactly right. And he's up to no good. And he's plotting right now. And as I said the other day, this stuff, reach across the aisle. You're going to reach across the aisle? Grab this guy by the collar. They better be ready. They better be ready. And what did I say the other day? They better be ready because they're going to try and criminalize politics. They not only want to destroy the incoming administration, they want to send people to prison. I've seen this up close and personal, folks. I've seen what they've done to good people. And they will lay in wait, as I also told you, the day after Tuesday, Wednesday, by my calendar, that they will try and lay the case for the eventual impeachment of Trump. I'm quite serious about this. And then today in the Washington Compost, an article by Peter Stevenson, another nobody, prediction professor who called Trump's big win, also made another forecast: Trump will be impeached. I'm telling you, folks, you better bring the brass knuckles out. This is no game. Few prognosticators predicted a Donald Trump victory ahead of Tuesday night. Polls showed Hillary Clinton comfortably ahead. Much of America, chiefly the media, failed to anticipate the wave of pro-Trump support that propelled him to victory. It wasn't a wave, it was a switch of voters. It really was. I just gave you the numbers. But anyway. But a Washington, D.C. based professor insisted that Trump was lined up for a win, based on the idea that elections are primarily a reflection on the performance of the party in power. Alan Lichtman, he's kind of a goofball nerd. I've seen him on TV. Alan Lichtman uses a historically based system of what he calls keys to predict election results ahead of time and so forth and so on. At the end of our September conversation, Lichtman made another call that if elected, Trump would eventually be impeached by a Republican Congress that would prefer a President Mike Pence, someone whom establishment Republicans know and trust. I'm going to make another prediction, he said. This one is not based on a system, it's just my gut. They don't want Trump as president because they can't control him. He's unpredictable. They'd love to have Pence, absolutely down-the-line, conservative, controllable Republican. I'm quite certain Trump will give someone grounds for impeachment, either by doing something that endangers national security or because it helps his pocketbook. Guy's an idiot. Now, here's my point on impeachment. The House impeaches. The Senate tries and determines whether to remove the president or anyone who's impeached, actually. You watch. Mark my words. Circle the date on the calendar. Wednesday passed. They're going to spend the next 2 years, after maybe a month or 2 or 3 or 4 of smiling as they sharpen their knives, they're going to spend the rest of the 2-year period doing everything they can to create scandal, to create controversy and provocation. Anybody who serves in this administration is going to be fair game. These leftists use the same tactics as the Marxists. You see them in the streets now? You think these billionaires like Soros are just going to go away? They're already plotting. They're already meeting in their little hotel rooms. They're already doing the things that leftists, radical kooks do. Do you think they believe in the system? They only believe in the system if they win. They don't accept defeat, ever. And Schumer's the worst of the bunch. And they are plotting right now. Mark my words, they are plotting right now, trying to figure out ways to bring down this administration, even before the week is over. And so is Obama. Don't buy this photo stuff. The happy talk, the smiley faces. Richard Nixon sold out every conceivable way, gave them the EPA, gave them OSHA, gave them the EEOC, did everything he could to buy peace, to buy peace, to buy peace. They were never going to accept peace with Richard Nixon. The Democrats, the left, the Praetorian Guard media, trademark, the Praetorian Guard media, they were never going to accept a Nixon presidency. They're never going to accept a Trump presidency either, any more than they would accept a Cruz presidency or a Rand Paul presidency. But they have dripping contempt. And they will be helped by the likes of David Brooks of the New York Slimes, the lab rat over there at the New York Slimes, who essentially predicts the same thing. So this is the situation. We'll be watching it on. At the same time, the Republican establishment, headed by Mitch McConnell and all the other goons, they're going to do everything they can to water down the conservative parts of Trump's agenda. So we have our work cut out for us, ladies and gentlemen. We certainly do. And simultaneous with all this, we want to advance a liberty agenda, a conservative agenda, a constitutional agenda, a capitalism agenda, a national sovereignty agenda. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Simply Safe, a few years back, I discovered this small home security company. Nobody knew about them. But I could see they did everything right, and I championed them. Today they protect millions of Americans all over the country. Simply Safe Home Security. And I'm very pleased to announce the new Simply Safe security camera. Listen to this. It's a big deal. It's designed by some of the best engineers in the business. Now, this camera is different. It's new. The Simply Safe security camera actually connects to the sensors in your alarm system. Now, that means anytime your system detects something, it records it. Someone comes home, you get a recording. Someone tries to open a window, a recording. You can see everything that happens at home. The really great part is this. Say someone tries to break in. Not only is Simply Safe going to call the police, but you can take your video and show it to them. Give them the evidence. I think these are going to be big. Check out Simply Safe's new cameras today at simplysafemark.com. I would go right now, get started, simplysafemark.com. That's simplysafemark.com. All the advice I'm giving, just like getting rid of Christie, is intended to help this new administration. I want it to succeed. I want us to succeed. I want to defeat the left. We need to unravel what Obama did. It's a major task, but we also need to advance the cause of liberty. That's the problem with Republican administrations. They never do, or they rarely do. Last time we did was 30-some years ago. We must push forward with our agenda. And, of course, they're going to try and water it down, the Republicans, and the Democrats are going to try and sabotage it. Press ahead. Now we're the system. The Republicans have a monopoly. Let me repeat it so the trademark. There's a Republican monopoly in Washington, D.C. right now. A monopoly. Nothing can stop them if they want to go. Our buddy Ben Shapiro has an excellent piece in the Daily Wire. He says the real question is, will McConnell use the nuclear option? In other words, Schumer is not going to go away easily. Schumer perfected the use of the filibuster against circuit court appointees of George W. Bush. They threatened him. They used him like no Congress, specifically no Senate in American history. Harry Reid used the nuclear option, that is, suspended the filibuster rule, to pack the courts. To pack the courts, the circuit courts, especially the D.C. Circuit, among others. Mitch McConnell is a fool, and we will need to pressure him. And he will remain a political target of this program, as John Boehner was for years and years and years. He has got to learn that we want success, that we want victory, that we want to push back against the left. And if he's incapable of doing it, then get the hell out of there and get out of the way. I'll be right back.
He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, everybody. Mark Levin. This is hour 2. Our number 877-381-3811. 877-381-3811. There may be a little bit of confusion here. I said the Democrat numbers are tanking on the popular vote in election, and they're still getting more than the Republicans. I didn't say their agenda was retreating. Their agenda is advancing. Those of you who've listened to this show for any number of months and years or watched Levin TV, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They make permanent their agenda. They enshrine it in bureaucracies that they create. Most of the regulatory activity has nothing to do with who wins or loses elections. This government operates almost as a rote operation. You need very, very strong people who are going to hit the ground running. Not just people who've been senators and governors and all the rest. You need people who know how to grab a hold of a bureaucracy and control it, or that bureaucracy controls them. And they will be leaking to Capitol Hill. They'll be leaking to Schumer and his cronies. They'll be leaking to Pelosi and her cronies, whatever. I'm not sure how she self-identifies, but let's not get into that. I'm quite serious about this. So I didn't mean to suggest that the radical left agenda is in retreat. It's never in retreat. Matter of fact, it's always advancing. Our agenda seems to be retreating or always stillborn. Already I'm hearing, well, there's certain things in Obamacare that we'll support, like, pre-existing conditions, and if you have a kid up to 26 years It's 26. They can stay on your life insurance. On your health insurance. Well, that's not insurance. It's not insurance. If somebody's 50 years old and they don't buy health insurance, and you've been buying health insurance, paying these confiscatory rates over and over and over, or your employer has. They're 50 years old. They go in. Something's bothering them. They get a diagnosis, a horrible diagnosis. They have some form of cancer. Then they say, okay, I'm signing up for insurance. It's not insurance. That's taking all that money that you've paid into the system and giving it to somebody else. Mark, you don't have a heart. Let me tell you something. These mandates don't work. Because if you're mandating that somebody buy insurance but the fine is less than the mandate, then they're going to pay the fine. And they also know that they'll pick up insurance if something catastrophic happens because you're guaranteeing it. If word went out after a few years, you either sign up for private insurance, we're not going to mandate it, or you're not going to have coverage when you have a catastrophe, then more and more people would voluntarily purchase insurance. This whole notion of insurance wasn't invented today, folks. Oh, this guy Lewandowski going back into the government or going back into the Trump. Something about that guy I don't really care for. It's a hothead. I would advise Mr. Trump, who clearly is sitting around waiting for my advice, but I would advise him, and I mean this with absolute, support for what he's trying to do in not all respects, but in a lot of respects. Be very careful about surrounding yourself with Nixon types, with your H.R. Haldeman types. You don't want H.R. Haldeman types. You might also want to learn from the most successful president, one of them, and most successful Republican presidents, Reagan. He had a triumvirate. His chief of staff, counselor, and deputy chief of staff. Didn't work perfectly, because his chief of staff would often stab his counselor in the back. But apart from that, not a bad idea. But if you're going to put in, a bunch of spitball throwers, it's not going to work. There's a lot of people who could serve in these various positions outside the Oval Office. You just don't want a whole bunch of hotheads, because it won't work. So now also, let's look at the Republican side. Mitch McConnell. Good question by our friend Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro. Sorry, Ben. The Daily Wire. Republicans are hopeful after Republicans' sweeping electoral victories on Tuesday night. They have every right to be. Republicans now control the House of Representatives, the Senate, the presidency. Trump has promised to enact a largely conservative agenda, and that is thanks to you people in this program. Because we weren't groupies. We insisted. You want our support? Then you're going to have to show us a little bit of conservative ankle and stop with the wet kisses to Bernie Sanders and his supporters. And that's what happened. So now he has a mandate. So we have Republican domination now of Congress and the White House, obviously. He says, Shapiro, there's one possible obstacle. His name is Mitch McConnell. Senate Majority Leader McConnell will likely have 52 Republican votes with which to ram through elements of the Trump agenda. The top of that agenda is the replacement of Justice Scalia with a conservative. In all likelihood, the Democrats will attempt to filibuster any such nomination. That means that McConnell will have to invoke the so-called nuclear option, whereby the appeals to the presiding officer of the Senate, in this case Vice President Mike Pence, to allow a vote on the new justice without a 3/5 majority necessary to shutting down a filibuster. A simple majority vote is then taken to decide the new rules, and the justice is suddenly confirmable. Let me remind you, this is exactly what Harry Reid did when it came to circuit judges. It had never been done in American history, but he did it. Now, if he's going to do it for circuit judges, then McConnell ought to do it for the Supreme Court. And I want to remind you that the Constitution empowers both the President and the Senate. The President makes the nomination, the Senate gives its advice, and consent. But I've argued for many, many years that the Senate should not be free through its own internal rules to upset the balance that is in the Constitution. He says it's certainly questionable whether McConnell would invoke the nuclear option. That's particularly true of certain left-leaning Republican senators like Susan Collins, John McCain, and Lindsey Graham, and Lisa Murkowski decide not to support such a maneuver. Then McConnell will be stuck. He'd have to go back to Trump and bring forward a judicial nominee acceptable to a broader majority of senators. And we know what that means, a watered-down nominee. It's up to McConnell to keep Republicans in line. The same is true with regard to the repeal of Obamacare. Democrats will undoubtedly attempt the filibuster. McConnell will once again be called upon to utilize the nuclear option. Will he do it? He hasn't said. Will enough Republicans back him? They haven't said. All of this could foreshadow a serious break between Trump and McConnell from the beginning, or alternatively, could presage a move to the left from both Trump and McConnell. In the best of all worlds, McConnell holds together the Republican coalition and pushes through some of the much-needed change Trump has promised to bring forth. But only time will tell if McConnell, a man many Republican voters thought was too weak-kneed in the first place, will stand up, or even if he can stand up. It's quite right. Now, I told you the other day, when it comes to Obamacare, Paul Ryan, when he was on the show many years ago, he said that we could, in fact, repeal 85% of Obamacare through the budget reconciliation process. And I say, then do it. And have your proposals ready to go. It's not like they haven't known that they want to repeal and replace. Okay, now repeal and replace. I'm going to have no patience. You can leave it to the groupies. They'll make excuses. I am going to have no patience if these guys don't hit the ground running. Because it is going to get ugly the longer this goes on. Get your priorities, move the agenda, fund the wall, do what you need to do, but get it done. We need to build up the United States military. There's a lot of things on the table. And what are they talking about now? $1 trillion infrastructure program. That would mean 2 presidents, $2 trillion for infrastructure. So already, $1 trillion, and I heard some knucklehead on Fox go, I think it was noon or 1 or whatever it was, that it'll stimulate jobs and everything. So now we're all Keynesian socialists. So now government spends money, meaning it takes your money or it borrows money, and we're into work projects. What is this, Franklin Roosevelt? All roads aren't federal roads. We have a federal interstate highway system and so forth, but when did all roads become federal roads? All bridges become federal bridges? We got $20 trillion in fiscal operating debt. We have over $200 trillion in unfunded liabilities. That doesn't go away with an election. So I would ask, where is your budget-cutting proposal? Forget about new spending. $1 trillion on infrastructure? Are you kidding me? Really? Yes, we're going to double what Hillary Clinton was going to spend. Oh, okay. So we know they're going to spend and spend it, but we want to see a proposal for cutting. So which department's going to be eliminated? Any? How much will EPA be slashed? Why do we need the Department of Education? What the hell does the Department of Commerce do? Honest to God, I have no idea. Steps that are going to be taken to rein in the central government. I can tell you that's the way the left thinks in terms of advancing their cause. Steps they're going to take. What do you think this whole climate change has been about? It is a ruse to empower the government, to attack capitalism, to push back on economic growth, to destroy our sovereignty. Well, where's our proposal? I don't know, but they better start thinking about it. George Stephanopoulos, this little puke, liberal Democrat hack, dressed up as a journalist, but most of them are. Our friends at MRC's Newsbusters Matthew Balin, ABC George Stephanopoulos raised the prospect of impeachment of President-elect Trump on Thursday's Good Morning America as the morning show spotlighted the multiple civil lawsuits against the billionaire. Let me tell you, that's another tactic they're going to use. All these left-wing front groups funded by billionaires. The former Clinton administration communications director underlined that if he takes the risk of going to trial and he's convicted, that could be seen as an impeachable offense. ABC legal analyst Dan Abrams, he's the one with the squirrel glued to his head, corrected Stephanopoulos, his faulty take. You can't impeach someone for stuff they did before they became president. Actually, you can, but so be it. The anchor first brought on correspondent Brian Ross, who reported on the several legal cases involving Trump. Brian Ross, I didn't even know he was still alive. Does he know he's still alive? Ross said while the president-elect begins to make his plans to run the country, his lawyers will be in court today in San Diego, dealing with one of the dozen of active lawsuits against him, involving allegations of fraud, sexual harassment, and failure to pay his bills. Students who paid a $35,000 fee claim. Now the president-elect committed fraud when he falsely told them he had personally selected the faculty. Now notice he's reading, essentially, and reporting as news the brief by the plaintiffs. You can put whatever the hell you want in a brief. And they go on, Trump's business interests may also create conflicts for the soon-to-be president. He has extensive ties with several Russian oligarchs close to Putin, and they go on. So in other words, now the news media is taking the opposition research from the Democrats and spewing it out there, and then dressing it up as potential impeachment bait. I told you this is going to be rough. Just be ready. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Lawrence O'Donnell, he is a despicable human being, and he works, of course, with a whole gaggle of despicable human beings over at MSLSD. And he was despicable yesterday, too. Mr. Producer, cut one, go.
President Obama is a noble and honorable and decent man, but to say he is the most noble man who has ever lived in the White House is not as great a compliment as it sounds. It certainly sounds like an hysterical exaggeration to a Trump voter, but the bar on presidential nobility and honor is lower than they think. There was never anything noble about owning slaves. George Washington...
Let's just stop there. This is what I've told you all these years. This is how they try to destroy the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution. This is what they do. Abraham Lincoln answered fools like this, but he's too stupid and historically illiterate to understand any of it. He is a statist, radical progressive. That's all he is. So you're going to trash American history and remake the world beginning today. And I would remind you, he's a member of the Democrat Party, the party of slavery and the party of segregation. But it gets worse. Go ahead.
Slave owner when he was 11 years old. Thomas Jefferson owned slaves. Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves and won the Civil War, but he also played his part in the genocidal war against Native American tribes. That
really? Yes, go ahead.
Forgotten part of the Lincoln presidency. That's the forgotten part of American history. Native American blood on presidents' hands. There's nothing noble about genocide, but our presidential mythology insists that most of the 44 of them have been...
All right, stop. You see, this is how you destroy a country. First of all, idiot, there weren't 44 presidents. There were actually 43 men who were presidents. Anybody know why? We'll leave that out there. There are actually 43 men. Yes, they were presidents, 44, but 43 men. Anybody know why? This idiot doesn't know why. So now, did you know that Abraham Lincoln was responsible for massive genocide of the Native Americans? Didn't lift a finger to stop it even. So here he is leading the Civil War, Over 700,000 casualties, day in and day out. Every single minute, this is his focus. One battle after another, one battle worse than the other. Appomattox, Vicksburg, Chattanooga, Gettysburg. One battle after another. 30,000 casualties, 40,000 casualties, 50,000 casualties on the battlefield in 2.5 days. Battle after battle after battle. He's trying to hold the country together. He's trying to end slavery. And this idiot attacks that president for genocide against the Native Americans. As if that's what Abraham Lincoln was all about. It's just sick, the kind of rewriting of history. It's absolutely sick. This is Pravda. That's what it is. You puke. You jerk, Lawrence O'Donnell. What a disgrace. Put a bag over your head, will you? I'll be right back.
Constitution Man, Mark Levin. Call him now at 877-381-3811.
You know, if Kellyanne Conway, the campaign chairman for Donald Trump, had been a Democrat, and the Democrat nominee had won, they would be holding ticker tape parades for her. Because, as I understand it, she is the first person with female genitalia who has run such a campaign and won such a campaign. So all these leftists, oh, poor Hillary, she couldn't break the glass ceiling. She lost an election. What do you mean she couldn't break the glass ceiling? We're all supposed to vote for her so she can break the glass ceiling? What kind of insanity is this? And yet, this Kellyanne Kelly, she broke a glass ceiling. Does anyone give a damn? Forget it. No, I can't do that. No. She's a first. Nah, it doesn't matter. Huh? Norman Ornstein. He's this nerd that's been around forever, decades. He's actually a lib. He pretends to shoot straight. Who can forget this tweet, November 6th? Campaign manager spin. Kellyanne Conway lies more than any I have ever seen. Is that right, Norm? Well, then you're blind as a bat. See, what other geniuses do we have here? Just checking this out from our friends at Independent Journal Review. Who else? Karen Kilgariff. Karen, you might want to change that photo on your Twitter. Trust me, it doesn't do you any good. When it's all over, Kellyanne Conway can go back to being that mother who kills the better cheerleader so her daughter makes the squad. Oh. A self-hating woman. Then there's Chris Regan. Kellyanne Conway looks like an actress. She's cast to play Ann Coulter in Weird Al video. Chris, you're very funny. Are you misogynist too? How do you self-identify? Just curious. Curious. Anything goes. I'm just curious. Actually, I'm not. You know, the whole world watched the outcome of the presidential election because the office is the most powerful in the world. But the powers of the presidency are limited. They're restrained by the Constitution. Now, recently, sadly, the restraints were breached. Think numerous executive orders, executive agencies, and the usurping of power from the other two branches. The only hope in restoring the proper role of the new president, that is President Donald Trump, is for the people to demand it. And that starts with your knowing what the Constitution actually says. Right now, go to levinforhillsdale.com, Levin for Hillsdale.com. You can register for a timely, free online course brought back for a limited time by the great Hillsdale College. That is the Presidency and the Constitution. Every citizen needs to take it. You'll learn in 10 short lessons the original purpose of the executive branch and how the Constitution limits its powers. You see, the Founding Fathers gave the real power to we the people. But if Americans don't know what the Constitution says, how will we hold our president accountable? Show the world that you'll help restore the office of the presidency. Register right now at levinforhillsdale.com, Levin for Hillsdale.com, levinforhillsdale.com. What a great school. Spectacular school. All right, let's take some calls. People want to get in. Corey, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the great WISN. Go.
Hi, Mark. Maybe a veteran, big, huge fan of Civil War history.
Well, thank you, by the way. Appreciate that.
You are.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Glad to do it. Not a huge fan of Lincoln like you are. I agree he did do a pretty good job in a terrible time, but as for what these people are saying about the Indian...
Well, let's slow down a little bit on this. I hear this all the time. You understand what was going on in the country? We look at these riots in the streets now. There weren't riots in the streets. There was an army. There were cities under bombardment. The whole country was swallowed up in a civil war. What is it that Lincoln should have done?
Well, I don't want to get into the early...
All right, go ahead and make your point then. All right, go ahead.
But I'm not sure if you're aware of a Confederate general named Waddy. The Cherokee Nation stood strong with the Confederates in the Western theater of the war. In fact, after the Battle of Wilson's Creek, which was a major engagement in 1861, it was like the Bull Run of the West, so to speak. There was Union armies that marched down south from Missouri into Indian Territory. And Waddy and a couple other Confederate Indians and some conventional Confederate forces from the armies were fighting against these troops. And as some of these Union forces came down into the Western Indian Territories, they did some questionable things to the Indian people that they encountered because there was Cherokee people supporting Waddy. So I'm not too well versed in exactly what went down in that area because I'm more of an Eastern theater kind of guy, but I do know that there were some atrocities that were committed by the North in that theater.
Tell me, were there atrocities committed in World War II under FDR? Can you answer my question?
You could argue that the firebombing of Dresden was an atrocity.
Well, of course, the British mostly bombed Dresden. But I'm just saying, were there atrocities on Iwo Jima? Were there atrocities anywhere during World War II?
Yeah, of course. War is terrible.
Are there atrocities during world wars and civil wars?
Oh, yeah. That's
Can you think... Hold on now, listen to me. Can you think of a single war in which there weren't any? Can you name one?
I don't think anybody could do that.
No. So when a guy goes on the air like Lawrence O'Donnell and viciously attacks Abraham Lincoln as a man who commits genocide against Native Americans, he's full of crap. Abraham Lincoln wasn't focused on committing genocide against Native Americans.
I don't think that was his focus, but I don't think he did. He didn't really...
Well, let's play it again, because I'm not sure we heard the same thing. Number one, Mr. Producer, go.
President Obama is a noble and honorable and decent man, but to say he is the most noble man who has ever lived in the White House is not as great a compliment.
But let's stop. He's not the most noble man who's ever lived in the White House, is he, Corey? As a matter of fact, under him, in the Middle East, tens of thousands of women have been brutalized. I say under him because of his direct inactivity, or you could call it activity, have been enslaved. All kinds of things have happened as a result of his foreign policy. Go ahead.
It certainly sounds like an hysterical exaggeration to a Trump voter, but the bar on presidential nobility and honor is lower than they think. There was never anything noble about owning slaves. George Washington became a slave owner when he was 11 years old. Thomas Jefferson owned slaves. Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves and won the Civil War, but he also played his part in the genocidal war against Native American tribes.
Stop right there. See, the genocidal war against Native American tribes. Did you hear that, Corey? Can you bring Corey up, Mr. Producer? I'm trying to talk to him. Did you hear that, Corey? Well, if he may be up, he must have hung up. All right, I'm going to move on. I can't keep asking if Corey's there the whole night. Let's go to Jessica, Wichita, Kansas, the great KNSS. Go.
Hi, Mark. It's so nice to talk to you. Thank you for taking my call.
All right, thank you.
I am an Air Force veteran, and
thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. I'm actually third generation. My grandfather and then both my parents.
Wow, they must be proud of you.
Yes, very much so. So I was also born in the late 80s, so what people consider a millennial. And I just wanted to thank you for helping me articulate what it means to be a conservative. I've been listening to you for over a decade, and I know that when confronted with, well, what do you mean conservative, I would never be able to articulate that without your guidance. So I just really appreciate it, and I'm subscribed to Levin TV, and I expect to learn a lot. So thank you.
Aren't you kind? Well, thank you, Jessica, and we honor you every day here, and especially on Veterans Day. So we
thank you.
What can I give you? Do you have plunder in deceit?
I don't have it yet, no.
All right, don't hang up.
It's on my list.
No problem. We're going to send you a copy, and I want to thank you very, very much for your service. You take care, and your family.
Thank you so much.
All right, God bless. Brandon, Colby, Kansas, Sirius Satellite, go.
Hey, Mark, how are you? I hope you can hear me okay.
Very well.
Good. Well, it is an honor to talk with you. I feel kind of silly because you're so brilliant with the Constitution and our three branches of government. But I just wanted to briefly get your thoughts on Ben Carson. I think he is a phenomenal man, and I am particularly excited for the African-American communities if Donald Trump sticks to his word, and if they utilize Ben, I am just thrilled for what will happen to from an educational standpoint on conservatism and just motivating our young African-American communities to make something of themselves and really, the freedom of thought and to really question the role of government on their lives and how.
Well, I thought Ben was a little strange there for a couple of months, quite frankly.
Yeah. Well, do you think there's an opportunity to really get out there and really try to help those people?
Well, of course. Help all people. And I said he should be Secretary of Education. What did the guy say on Fox? It was so preposterous. Surgeon General. Surgeon General? Do they even know what a Surgeon General does? They walk around with these stars on their jacket. Oh, hey, I'm the General of Surgeons. I'm the Surgeon General. And what do? They run public service commercials. Stop smoking. Don't drink too much. Don't fall asleep when you're driving. Wear a coat when it's snowing. Don't put your face in the toilet. Stuff like that.
Yeah, he's far too brilliant for something so limited. He either needs to be, like Secretary of HHS or...
I take it you supported him in the presidential primaries.
Well, I mean, I was Ted Cruz. Well, I don't know. I would have voted for Ben Carson in a heartbeat. And what makes me so mad, I've been listening to your show tonight, and I've also been wanting to hear how the liberals are just freaking out on other channels. So, like, Progress Channel and some of those.
Hold on now. There's a Progress Channel?
It's one. Let me see here. It's 127.
I don't want to hear about it. But there's a Progress Channel.
Oh, they are flaming liberal. And
you mean the progressive? Hold on now. You mean the Progressive Channel?
Yes, it is progressive. I guess. Yeah.
Just remember, whenever you hear the word progressive, it means regressive. Go ahead.
Oh, I know. But it's just sad because you have obviously the host is African American, and they are so convinced that this country hates them. And that Republicans are not.
Well, let's see how they back Ben Carson should he be nominated for something.
And they talk about how they are saying that all this election is just the result of conservatives and Republicans being upset that we had a black president. I would have voted for Ben Carson in a heartbeat.
I know. Stop, please. We can't allow the left to define us. You'll lose your mind over it. I'm surprised. They haven't already said that Trump is removing a minority family from the White House. I'm waiting for that one next.
Sure.
All right, my friend. I appreciate your call. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Not Hey Mac, AMAC. Friends, I have an urgent appeal to every American over the age of 50. Act now. I'd like you to join AMAC. Join them now. www.amac.us. Click on the Join AMAC button. It's really that simple. Man, do they have great discounts and benefits. But AMAC is the kind of organization that stands up for our national anthem. Let's stand with AMAC. Together, we can push back against well-funded leftist activism. AMAC is the leading conservative organization for seniors. Well over 1 million of your fellow Americans have joined AMAC because they're willing to take on the serious issues that we face. Illegal immigration, radical Islamic terrorism, sanctuary cities, Planned Parenthood funding, and so forth. It's time that we dust ourselves off and fight for the America we love. Send the elite leftist machine a message. We are going to turn back your big government plans. Please join AMAC right now. Forward this message to everyone you know, because together we can make a difference. And get the benefits and discounts that they offer. They are tremendous. And save the America you love. Join AMAC, 888-262-2006. That's 888-262-2006. Or join online. Go to amac.us. That's AMAC.us. What a terrific organization. All of you who are seniors, conservatives, this organization was specifically established for you. All right, let's take another call, shall we? Yes, we can. Arnold, Sacramento, California, the great KSFO. Go.
Hi, I had a question for you, Mr. Levin. By the way, thank you for taking my call.
All right.
I'm a conservative in California. I'm a small business owner, and a number of years ago, I needed to buy my health insurance. And in this state, when it's not supplied by an employer, it's through Covered California, which ended up being swallowed by Obamacare. Since then, and it's not free, by the way, it's hundreds of dollars a month. But since then, I was diagnosed with
cancer. Depending on your income, it is subsidized.
I make a decent living, and it is. It was about $100 cheaper, and that's why I went with it. It's just me. Mm-hmm. It's a small business.
But I mean, it's either subsidized directly or it's subsidized indirectly. That's why everybody's premiums are going through the roof, and the deductibles are going through the roof. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So, about a year ago, I was diagnosed with cancer. So when I got my health care, I was totally healthy. And then about a year ago, I got sick. And, so, I mean, I voted Trump because he said he wasn't going to leave anybody die in the streets. But when I hear about a massive repeal and excluding people, now I have a pre-existing condition. If my health care is canceled.
Let me ask you a question. Do you seriously think that's what would happen?
Well, I don't know, sir. That's why I wanted to ask you because...
First of all, I'm very sorry about your condition. There are a lot of people who are in a very terrible situation. They have horrible heart disease, terrible diabetes, they have cancer of God knows what variety and so forth. Do you think when they say repeal and replace Obamacare, they're talking about throwing everybody in the street?
Well, no, sir, but I had heard you about an hour ago say about, you had made a comment about...
But you've been paying for insurance before your pre-existing condition. Didn't you just say that?
Absolutely. For multiple...
So I wasn't talking about somebody paying for insurance before their pre-existing condition.
Okay. I don't know how...
Now, that said, if your insurance was gobbled up by Obamacare, what they're going to have to do is make sure that people like you are grandfathered in because you've been paying.
Okay. I mean, I just wanted to know that somebody out there had some kind of...
Well, I don't know what they're going to do, but I can't imagine that somebody who's been paying is in a system. When they say get rid of Obamacare, they're not talking about getting rid of all insurance. They're talking about getting rid of certain mandates. They're talking about getting rid of certain funding mechanisms, certain subsidies. They're talking about opening the system up to more insurance companies so they can operate across state lines. They're talking about allowing people to buy or to create health savings accounts. They're not talking about throwing people like you into the street.
Okay.
And I would argue they don't even have the power to do that. You have a contract. You bought insurance. The government takes certain steps under Obama. They swallow up your insurance company. But you've been paying. Then you have this horrific disease, cancer. You're exactly the kind of guy that ought to be covered by insurance, if you see what I'm saying. So I wouldn't sweat that. I would just take care of yourself and stay focused on getting better. All right, my friend? All right. You take care. I'll be right back.
He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Mark Levin here, our number 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. It is Veterans Day, the waning hours, but every day is Veterans Day here. Every day is honor the military here, law enforcement, firefighters, emergency personnel. But we want to play a version of the national anthem that was sent to me that I actually like, by Madison Rising. Just a few minutes in honor of our vets and our military personnel, and as a matter of fact, in honor of all patriots in this country. Go right ahead. Isn't that beautiful? Madison Rising. Very patriotic group. I thought you'd like that. I like it very much. All right, let's see what some of you have to say. Don, our buddy, Lake Ron Kankama in New York, the great WABC. Go.
Mark, how you doing? And
very well.
I just want to thank you for your crew on radio and Levin TV for giving us the great election results that we were so desperately in need of.
Yep.
Hey, listen, on every speech and debate President-elect Donald Trump he spoke at length of the medical abuse of our veterans. And today on Veterans Day, I'm hoping that Trump will assign an informed and dedicated team to fix the VA administration. And the name that pops up to me is a friend of yours, Colonel Allen West.
Oh, he'd be outstanding, wouldn't he? If he'd do it. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, because he's so articulate. Every time I see him, his tweets. Every time he appears on television or radio, he's just superb, and he has a real grasp of the situation.
And he has, being a veteran, being a combat veteran, he has in his heart, the desire to do good by those folks. All right, Don, I appreciate your call, and there's a lot that can be done there. And we've talked about it many, many times. Matter of fact, the first proposal came out of my mouth because we litigate at Landmark Legal Foundation and have over the decades for school choice and school vouchers. And that's where I came up with, okay, let's have vouchers. This is many years ago for our vets where they can use it at a VA hospital or use it at any hospital. This is what I mean by competition in healthcare. We need competition in healthcare for all of us. And if the Republicans are going to start lacing on all these requirements, then we're not going to have competition in healthcare. We're going to have Obamacare light. We'll call it Trump care. I don't know. They like to talk about the market system, and then every time they have a chance to actually do something with the market system, the Democrats never question themselves. They just plow ahead. They're saboteurs. They don't accept election results. They've taken over the fourth branch of government, this massive army of bureaucrats and a bureaucracy, a permanent government. They will fight to the bitter end over the courts. I mean, the Republicans really need to demonstrate something now. They have monopoly control of Washington, D.C. I repeat, the Republicans now run Washington, D.C. There's no excuses. I'm not a groupie. There's no excuses. Audrey, Clinton, Maryland, I'm sorry, the great WMAL. How are you?
Hi, Mark. It is such an honor to speak with you.
Thank you.
It is. I've been on hold just trying to speak with you, and I'm just so honored to say I'm so glad that you are out there speaking the truth. I am a African-American woman, a single parent, 3 children, 1 daughter that's in a D.C. National Guard, 1 son who just signed up for the Air Force 3 weeks ago, and gave him your book that you signed for me, Plunder and Deceit. And I am just one of those that are out there in the community that is consistently saying that we need a change. And I'm one of the people that people discount to say that you are someone that's just not really. I'm
all right, don't be nervous. I know exactly what you mean. In other words, your opinion doesn't count because you don't agree with them.
I don't agree with them. I live in Maryland, which is a
one-party state for the most part, other than the governor. And by the way, the governor is a perfectly nice man. It's too bad he doesn't build up the Republican Party.
He's done a great job.
He really has.
I think that people don't give him enough credit.
Wait a minute, Audrey. Director of the McConnell Center. Do you know Mitch McConnell has a center at a college? That's pretty funny, isn't it? I go to the Mitch McConnell Center. Oh, yes. And what do they do? Well, we do amendments. We like our amendments. Anyway, Audrey, go ahead.
I just want to say that I was one of those people that 4 years ago had a Romney sign in my window when I was giving out Halloween treats, and I was berated that I was anti-Obama and.
Well, do you see what's going on in the streets now? Did you see that guy pulled out of his car by those 4 thugs and beaten to a pulp?
Yeah, but yet I was the only one in the neighborhood that was, giving out candy and welcoming people, and they actually attacked me for being, for Romney, and now I was afraid to even put out a sign on my step about being for Trump because I thought that it was going to give so much backlash. But they didn't want to listen to me. Because the left is violent.
Tell me, how many leftists and Democrats have to fear Republicans when they put a Hillary sign in their yard? None. The left is violent. They're born out of violence. They're violent. The Democrat Party is violent. The Democrat Party was born out of slavery and segregation and Jim Crow. That's the Democrat Party. They've really pulled the wool over a lot of people's eyes. I want to thank you, Audrey, and your very, very patriotic family. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Mark. I thank you for what you do. I thank you for what you...
All right, I appreciate it. I apologize for that. James, Fayetteville, North Carolina, the great WFNC. Go.
Pleasure, sir.
Thank you.
I just wanted to point out that I heard a couple of things recently on the radio that kind of concerned me. This reaching across the aisle thing, all of a sudden I see a nice Donald wanting to reach across the aisle. He had a fun time taking a lot longer than he thought with the Obamas. And also he might want to keep some of Obamacare. And he doesn't have to do this. He doesn't have to reach across the aisle. He's got a lot of, Republican support in Congress. And I think that's making a big mistake. He needs to think.
Have you heard Chuck Schumer say we should reach across the aisle?
Yeah, I have.
No, I haven't. When did he say that?
Well,
did you hear Nancy Pelosi say they're going to reach across the aisle? I haven't heard that.
I apologize, sir.
Why do Republicans constantly reach across the aisle? They have a majority in both houses. Why don't they do a damn thing and get something done?
Yeah, I was mistaken. You're right. He didn't. But the thing is, I want to see some kick butt Donald like before. And I'm afraid, is he going back to his Democratic roots a little bit?
Well, we'll see. Give him a little bit more time here. But I think it's very, very important on these personnel decisions that they have to be solid, or he's going to lose the executive branch. The executive branch is massive, and he's got to keep an eye on McConnell. I think Paul Ryan will be a little easier, but he's got to keep an eye on McConnell. McConnell drives his own agenda. McConnell is a very stubborn buffoon. Thank you for your call, sir. Edward, Dallas, Texas, the great WBAP. Go.
Yes.
Hello?
Mark. Yes, hello.
Yes.
I want to agree with you that I'm glad that the Republicans have a monopoly in Washington now, not because I like their policies or their agenda, but I'm glad that the best-kept secret will now have to be revealed. And
what is the best-kept secret?
They don't have an answer to Obamacare. They talk about repeal and replace.
I have an answer to Obamacare. It's called the market system. It's called 100 insurance companies. It's called customized insurance for people who want everything in the kitchen sink and people who want minimal coverage. Why isn't that an answer?
Well, it's because this is not the first time in recent history where they've had monopoly. They had it under Bush.
But answer my question. Why isn't that an answer, what I just said?
It's not an answer because they won't do it. That's why it's not an answer.
Well, that's a different issue. But I propose making insurance more customized, making it more available, driving competition, driving down the costs. I don't know why people don't support this.
Right. All idea is the Republicans in Congress won't do it. They just like being the party of no. They had control under Bush. What did they do?
Party of no? I think the Democrat Party in many respects is the party of no. No border, no capitalism, no constitution, no military, no coherent foreign policy. That sounds like a party of no to me. Edward, they're harassing me. I have to take a break. I apologize. I'd like to talk to you more. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
This has been a heck of a week, folks. I'm glad we could share it together. Election night, the day after, yesterday, today. I think it's great that we're in this together. I think it's great that Hillary Clinton was defeated thanks to you. We held on to the House and Senate thanks to you. 33 Republican governorships thanks to you. State houses all over the place thanks to you. It's not enough to win. And unfortunately, a lot of these Republicans are in it for themselves. So at least on this program, we're going to use this microphone as best I can to represent all of you, or most of you, as we hold their feet to the fire. We cannot afford any more backsteps. And we're not going to put up with any more deceit. Outsider, insider, I don't much care. And I will tell you this. I was very, very impressed with some of the real journalists on Fox. Not all of them. Bret Baier is outstanding. And I'm going to say this. This may upset some of you. Chris Wallace this week, outstanding. They need to clean up these commentators. Karl Rove needs to go. The Bush stuff, that's enough already. He's a special pleader. I know they won't remove some of the other Bush people there, but they lace these shows. And they keep pushing the Rhino agenda, the inside the Beltway agenda. It's a huge mistake, and it's a complete turnoff as far as I'm concerned. CNN, this election has shown CNN in many respects to be in the back pocket of the Democrat Party. But I will tell you, election night coverage also, as I was going back and forth, Tapper did a very good job, Jake Tapper. I know he's attacked. I'm saying he did a very good job on election night. I was watching it very, very carefully. And most of all, you. Everybody's taking credit for this. Oh, this one did unbelievable. That one ran a great campaign. This one had coat. You did all this. It's the people. Many of you, I would say most of you, didn't even vote for Donald Trump to make Donald Trump president. You voted for Donald Trump to stop Hillary Clinton. And that's why you wanted him to be president. And you succeeded. 81% of conservatives who voted for Donald Trump. That's a big deal. You and I concluded that the greater danger, a big danger, was in Hillary Clinton. And we also concluded that we had moved Donald Trump more to our positions. That Gettysburg speech is a perfect example. 80% of what he said is what we believe in. Now he's up against the left. He's up against the Praetorian Guard media. He's up against the rhinos like McConnell. He'll have to deal with the bureaucracy. We will back him to the hilt when we believe he's right, and we won't when we believe he's wrong. But I am prepared to take on the left and the rhinos with you at my side.
Some hosts talk about the news. Mark Levin influences the news. Call the Mark Levin Show now at 877-381-3811.
Okay, I'm very excited about this. If you're a veteran or if you're in the military, I've been waiting to do this the entire show. Obviously, it's Veterans Day. I want to make a very small, but I hope important, offer to you. The way that we're able to say thank you to all those who have served and are serving in our armed forces. So I spoke to the powers that be at CRTV, and we want to make it easier for you to participate in the Conservative Review TV network. So what we're going to do, if you've been listening to the last few weeks, you know we've launched this entirely new conservative digital network. So for a limited time, we're announcing it today, anyone who's a veteran or a member of the military, anyone who's a veteran or a member of the military, you'll get $30 off the cost of an annual subscription to CRTV, which is normally $99. It'll be $69. Use the promo code VETERAN, V-E-T-E-R-A-N. Yeah, I know you know how to spell it, but I'm trying to emphasize if you're a veteran or you're a member of the military presently, active duty as an example, I hope you'll take advantage of this. We have a very patriotic program every night, pro-military, pro-law enforcement, pro-America is the bottom line. And our program has exploded with interest and support and members. And so we want to reach out to you. This is a limited opportunity. I wanted to do it today on Veterans Day. This has actually been in the works for 6 or 7 weeks. We've been talking about it, and we wanted to do it. So if you're a veteran, if you're in the military, you can get $30 off the cost of an annual subscription. Just call 844-LEVIN-TV, 844-LEVIN-TV. Use promo code VETERAN. If you go to crtv.com, use promo code VETERAN. Or you can call 844-LEVIN-TV and let them know that you're a veteran or you're in the military presently. And I hope as many of you as possible take advantage of this. I really do, because this is a limited time offer. 844-LEVIN-TV, L-E-V-I-N-TV. Or go directly to crtv.com and use the special code VETERAN. And we salute you and we thank you. We really do. God bless you. All right, let's continue to check out the calls on this Friday. Let's see. Albert, Atlanta, Georgia, the great WYAY. Go.
First of all, it's a great honor to speak to you, Mark.
Thank you.
Like yourself, I served in the Reagan administration. Matter of fact, Ronald Reagan was our commissioning officer when he came to the Air Force Academy in May of 1984. So right now, currently, I work in private industry. But on Breitbart.com, they had a link that President-elect Trump was soliciting for people to serve in the government. Now, having served in government before, I mean...
Hey, can I ask you a question? What does that have to do with my show?
Well, no, because I'm a conservative living here in Atlanta. And
well, I know that. I took your call. Do you have something else you want to say?
Yes, sir. I mean, how is it played that you work for the government? Because I feel at this point I'd like to end my career, serving my government again, especially under this administration.
I don't follow that. How is what played that you work for the government?
Well, you say you worked in the Justice Department, Chief of Staff, and Ed Meese. I mean, I'm not talking about applying for a secretary position or whatever, but
how do you apply for a job in the Trump? I have no idea how they're going to handle that. Well, call Breitbart. They work with them over there.
Right. I did, Mark. Again.
All right, my friend, thank you. I assume they'll know how. Bannon's in there. They'll figure it out. But I suspect you call over there, they'll tell you how to apply. I assume, I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not in touch with the Trump campaign. I'm not part of the Trump campaign. I'm not part of the Trump administration. I get little pieces of information here and there on the QT, but that's about it. Ned, Lynchburg, Virginia, how are you, sir?
Hey, Mark, thanks for taking my call. I just wanted to first say that unlike what people have said, you do have black listeners. I am a black, millennial, male, and I work in education. All Wonderful. The things that these people who are protesting outside in New York City and all these other places claim to be representing, they don't represent me. I am so sick and tired of the Democrat Party using lodges of racism, sexism, you name whatever ism it is, as a political strategy. The people who are directly responsible for people protesting, defecating in public, if you saw that, the people who are directly responsible for that are people who have used racism, sexism as political strategies, like Hillary Clinton, like Barack Obama. Imagine, I remember how bad they treated Mitt Romney, like Mitt Romney was another Adolf Hitler. They have always sold this narrative to their voting base. So now when Donald Trump gets elected, this is the reaction and the response that we see. And I hope that we have a government and I hope that we have a leader who is really swift about these protests, because it's one thing to protest fraud. It's one thing to protest corruption, like these people should have been doing when Bernie Sanders didn't get the nomination in the first place. But to protest someone having the right to get elected, to protest people having a right to listen to someone at a rally, to protest all of these things, we have become such a third world society because of Barack Obama not taking that leadership position in 8 years. I applaud Barack Obama for his message of unity after the fact. It shouldn't have been a political strategy.
That's a very good way to put it.
7.5 years.
And notice he's not said a word about all this violence, has he?
No, he's not, and he hasn't stepped in and sent in the National Guard or anything about it. And that's what's frustrating, because it's like I said, we can have disagreements, but when you get to the point where people's lives are threatened, for example, I have to call myself Ned on your show because I worry about losing my job in the education profession because these hypersensitive liberal people have always looked for reasons to fire folks for political disagreement, and I don't do that. They do it they try to do it with social media, all these other things. And it's unfortunate that we live in that world today where you cannot have an opinion without someone protesting you, trying to get you fired, trying to do all of these things because your worldview is different than theirs. And this is the part people who talk about tolerance love Trump's hate. Did you see, Mark, did you see the video of the young black teens beating the crap out of a guy because he was a Trump supporter?
The four black kids pulled this white guy out of his car and just beat him to a pulp. It was awful. It's horrific.
Did you see the video of the homeless black lady who was defending Trump's star get basically assaulted by all of these people and even assaulted by black people? Why was that not in the media but Donald Trump?
I don't know. And you know what? I couldn't even watch the whole thing. It turned my stomach. It's just incredible, the violence, the rioting. The president says nothing. The Democrats say nothing. Not a word. Not a word about any of it. It's just incredible to me. And it's always the left, the violent left. Unbelievable. And I'm sorry you have to use a pseudonym here, but probably pretty wise, Ned.
Well, you know, it is what it is. But if I ever see any type of violence like that happening, I'm definitely going to step in. But it's unfortunate that just like the...
Well, but let me just finish with that point. There were cars driving by there. I see a guy getting beaten like that. I'm not going to let that happen either. 10 strong guys can get out and beat the crap out of those 4 guys.
Oh no, me and those 4 boys, we rolling. Not because I want to save that guy, not just because of that, but because they're disrespecting my race. They're disrespecting my people by acting like a bunch of you know what. But I'll just close on this. Just as the Southerners, the Democrat Party did in 1860, they protested Abraham Lincoln getting elected to the point they're talking about secession. They're doing it in 2016, and a damn thing changed about that party. They have always been a divisive party. They have always been a separatist party, and they have always been a party that encouraged violence when they can't get their way. And they need to stop. They need to grow up. The New York Times does not need to tell Donald Trump what Donald Trump needs to be doing to unify this nation. They need to unify this nation. The media needs to unify this nation and stop lying and stop selling these people who have these false narratives about racism. Thanks, Mark, for taking my call.
Yeah, you're a great guy. Thank you. I have to announce tonight, Levin TV will be slightly delayed. There's been a technical problem. They're trying to fix it. They damn well better get it fixed by next week. So there is a technical problem. Thanks for your patience. So tonight's episode will be up a little bit late. Don't panic. We definitely have a problem with our equipment that we've been trying to work on and so forth. So I just wanted to give you a heads up about that. Hey, look, it happens. What can you do? All right, Mr. Producer, I am looking. I hope I find it. You know, employees and executives can face felony charges and imprisonment for forging signatures and moving money into unauthorized accounts. No matter where you bank, make sure you closely watch your personal and financial data, because these things happen. Identity theft is America's fastest-growing crime. It happens when thieves use your information to pretend they're you. They can buy things on your credit, liquidate bank accounts, or get retirement funds. LifeLock scans hundreds of millions of transactions each second. Now, if they detect your information, they send you an alert. If you have a problem, a U.S.-based agent will work to fix it. That's different than free credit monitoring, which only alerts you to changes in credit. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses. But LifeLock is the best identity theft protection available anywhere. And membership starts as low as $9.99 a month plus applicable taxes. So go to LifeLock.com or call 1-800-457-LOCK. Use promo code Levin, that's L-E-V-I-N. Get your 10% off for your LifeLock Ultimate Plus membership. Call 1-800-457-LOCK, 1-800-457-LOCK. I have this. I got it from my parents. They've actually alerted me a few times. One time, somebody was using my credit card number in Florida at a gas station. I don't know how the hell they got it. This is the real deal. And it really can protect you. There's nothing like it. Nothing even comes close. I strongly encourage you to do it. You see all the tapping into data from foreign governments and so forth. 1-800-457-LOCK. 1-800-457-LOCK. Promo code Levin. Promo code L-E-V-I-N. All right, how much time do I have, Brian? Let's see here. All right, Taylor. Ridgecrest, California, Sirius Satellite, go.
Good evening, Mark. Thank you for taking my call. I just want to tell all my conservatives out there to keep engaging in the argument. Debunk this narrative of that we're racist and we're trying to segregate, that we're the party of no. I'm a active duty service member in the Navy. I see the best and brightest of the young generation of this nation every day. And they are thirsty, and they are hungry for truth, and they are hungry for a different perspective. And I realize people are afraid of, losing their job, and, someone's out there probably thinking that I have security in my job because I'm active duty service member, but that's not true. There's a wave of PC culture sweeping through our military, and I can get in trouble for the things that I say. But I know my kids are hungry for this knowledge. I found out the other day that every time I go on one of my rants or I'm discussing conservative points with someone in the shop, they're videotaping me and sending me out to their family members to watch the way I talk and highlight the points that I make.
Well, you're terrific, man, and I want to thank you for your service, too. I'll tell you what, don't hang up. Let's give this wonderful guy, Mr. Call Screener, a one-year subscription to CRTV. And thank you for your service. So don't hang up, please. Okay, Mr. Producer, We have Brian sitting in for Rich. How much time do I have? All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to come in with the music, correct? Okay. We're going to have our America the Beautiful, which is going to come up in just a few seconds. And I just want to tell you one more time what an honor and a pleasure it has been to be behind this microphone during the course of this week in this historic election. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Excellent week comes to an end. Our weekend begins now. We salute our armed forces, police officers, firefighters, and emergency personnel. Good night, Spritey. Good night, Griffey. Good night, Pepsi. Good night, Smokey. Good night, America. Get Al-Qaeda. Get ISIS. Get the Taliban. Get all those bastards. I'll see you on Monday on the radio and see you on Levin TV.